Black customer mocked at Amazon warehouse. Then the manager walked in and changed everything. A black man walked into an Amazon warehouse to collect his own package, but the staff mocked him, humiliated him, and refused to help. What happened? Next will restore your faith in humanity. And when the manager finally arrived, everyone's jaw dropped. Before we reveal what happened, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell because you won't want to miss what comes next. James Carter walked into the Amazon warehouse that afternoon with a hopeful heart. He wore a simple gray t-shirt tucked into faded black jeans and a pair of scuffed sneakers that had been loyal to him for years. His appearance was clean, respectful, but modest. He wasn't the kind of man who cared about designer brands. He cared about showing up with integrity. In one hand, he held his phone with the Amazon QR code ready to be scanned. In the other, he clutched a small note his 12-year-old daughter had written weeks ago. "Daddy, I would love this for school. I promise I'll take care of it." After saving up for months from his janitorial job and skipping more than a few meals, he had finally managed to buy her a basic laptop. Her birthday was tomorrow, and this pickup was the final step. He smiled as he approached the counter. "Good afternoon. I'm here to pick up a shipment." "Here's the code," he said, extending his phone politely. Behind the counter were two young employees, both leaning lazily against the wall, chewing gum. One of them barely glanced at him and scoffed. "You sure this is your package? You don't look like someone ordering electronics." The other chuckled and leaned closer, giving James a slow once-over. "Yeah, where's your badge, man? You don't work here." "What's this? A prank?" James blinked, confused. "No, this is mine. I have the order number, the receipt, and the pickup code." But the laughter only got louder. The young men began whispering to each other, shaking their heads as if James was some joke, some scammer trying to trick them. "Nah," one muttered. "He probably just found that phone on the street." James stood there, silent and stunned. As the shame slowly began to creep in, James remained standing at the counter, shoulders squared, but his heart pounding. He could feel the heat of embarrassment crawling up his neck. Every second he stood there felt heavier than the last. The two employees leaned into each other, still giggling like schoolkids behind a locker door. Their eyes darted at him, with concern, not with professionalism, but with pure mockery. One of them called out loudly enough for others to hear. "Hey, check this out, dude. Says he's picking up a laptop. Looks like he should be asking for directions to the shelter." A few more employees nearby turned their heads. Some glanced at James's clothes, some chuckled as if this was part of their daily entertainment. James looked around. This wasn't just bad service anymore. It was public humiliation. Then one worker walked by with a cart full of boxers. He slowed down, stared at James, and smirked. "Y'all better check if that order's legit. He might be trying to walk out with someone else's package." That was when another young staff member barely older than James's own daughter started pretending to film him with her phone. She wasn't really recording, but she held it up and said in a mocking tone, "Smile for TikTok. It's the new scammer challenge." Laughter erupted. Real, cruel laughter. James's fingers tightened around his phone. For a moment, he thought about walking away, just leaving. Maybe ordering a replacement, maybe explaining to his daughter why the gift wouldn't come. But then he looked down at that little handwritten note again. "I'll take care of it, Daddy." That was enough. He raised his voice just slightly, not in anger, but in tired desperation. "Please just scan the code." One of them rolled his eyes. "Relax, man. Why you so serious?" The cruelty didn't stop, but that's when a louder voice cut through the noise. Sharp, direct, and powerful. "What's going on here?" The warehouse froze. "What's going on here?" The warehouse fell dead silent. The laughter stopped mid-breath. Conversations halted like someone had flipped off the sound switch. All heads turned toward the entrance of the loading area. There stood a man with sharp eyes, squared shoulders, and a crisp white Amazon manager's shirt that immediately demanded attention. His name badge read Marcus Daniels, warehouse manager. Mid-40s, with salt and pepper hair, dark brown skin, and the kind of presence that made people rethink their behavior. James turned slowly, unsure if the voice was meant for him or someone else. Marcus scanned the room with a practiced eye. He didn't miss a thing: the awkward faces, the poorly hidden phones, the nervous glances. And then his gaze landed on James. "Sir, are you being helped?" he asked, voice calm but stern. James nodded cautiously. I was trying to pick up my shipment." But before he could finish, one of the employees, the main one mocking James, stepped forward with forced confidence. "We were just verifying the code. Sir, we thought it might be suspicious. He didn't really look like the kind of guy to pick up high-value electronics." It was a moment he should have swallowed his words, because the way Marcus Daniels looked at him made even the air freeze. "Didn't look like what kind of guy?" Marcus said, voice low but deadly clear. The employee stammered. I just meant." "No. You meant exactly what you said," Marcus interrupted, eyes narrowed. "You profiled him, judged him by his clothes, Maybe his skin, and instead of doing your job, you decided to mock and humiliate a paying customer. Silence. Marcus walked directly to James. May I see your code, sir? James handed him the phone. Marcus scanned it. Beep. Green. Verified. This shipment is 100% legit, and it belongs to Mr. Carter. He turned to the employees, his voice rising with authority. You just broke Amazon's code of ethics, customer service policy, and human decency. And now you're going to face consequences. Every worker in the room stood frozen. Some looked down, some turned red, but James stood tall. Now, for the first time that day, he felt someone had his back. And the shift in the warehouse was just beginning. Marcus Daniels didn't just talk, he acted immediately. Within minutes, he personally walked back into the fulfillment zone and retrieved James's package. A medium-sized Amazon-branded box, neatly taped and labeled, containing the very laptop James had worked overtime for. As Marcus returned, the entire warehouse staff quietly watched. The air was heavy, part guilt, part shock, and part fear. Here, you go, sir, Marcus said firmly, handing James the package. This should have been given to you the moment you walked in. James accepted it carefully, still in disbelief that someone of authority was finally treating him with dignity. Thank you, he said quietly, but Marcus wasn't done. He turned toward the two employees who had started the mocking, now pale and trembling. You've both violated our professional and human values, Marcus began, and in this company, we don't just deliver packages, we deliver respect. That's not optional, that's non-negotiable. The two tried to defend themselves, but Marcus raised his hand. Save it. You mocked a customer in front of your peers, refused service based on appearance, and turned a place of business into a circus. You're dismissed. Effective immediately. Gasps rippled through the room. Some workers stepped back. Others exchanged awkward glances, realizing they had laughed too long, were now part of a moment they wished they could erase. Marcus looked around and added, let today be a reminder. Discrimination, whether spoken or silent, has no place here. You treat every customer like a human being, not based on skin, not based on sneakers, but on respect. One of the remaining employees quietly whispered to another, I've never seen anyone fired that fast. James looked at Marcus, eyes slightly misty, not from sadness, but from something far more rare these days. Gratitude. I've had worse, James said, but thank you for not letting it slide. Marcus nodded. Double quotes. No one should have to go through that. Not on my watch. James left the warehouse, not just with a package, but with a story his daughter would one day be proud to hear. That evening, James sat at his kitchen table, the Amazon box open in front of him. The laptop sat neatly beside it, already charging. His daughter, Maya, had just gone to sleep, unaware that her dad had faced humiliation just to bring her birthday gift home. James could have let it go, but something inside told him he needed to speak up, not out of anger, but to share what had happened and recognize the one person who had done the right thing. He opened his phone, took a photo of the box, and then wrote, Today, I was mocked at an Amazon warehouse for how I looked. They laughed, humiliated me, and nearly sent me home without my daughter's birthday gift. But one-man warehouse manager Marcus Daniels stepped in. He saw past what I was wearing, past my skin, and treated me like a human being. He did what leaders are supposed to do. Thank you, Marcus. You didn't just save my day, you restored my faith. He hit post. By morning, the story had gone viral. Over 2 million views in just 24 hours. Thousands of comments poured in. This is the kind of manager every company needs. James, thank you for staying strong. You're a hero. Marcus, you're a real one. Respect. We need more men like this in charge. Local news stations picked up the story. Then national outlets. By the end of the week, Amazon's official Twitter account responded, We are investigating the matter. Discrimination is never acceptable. We commend Marcus Daniels for his leadership and quick action.